Hello and welcome to a special interlude episode of our Umineko series, in which we'll go over the hints to Berncastle's mystery. If you're trying to solve it and you get stuck, this is the video to watch. If you've already solved it, or you think you have, and you want to go over the reasoning again, perfect video to watch. If you're just here for the shipping and the cute bonding moments between Battler and Beatrice, hell yes, there's some of that in here. If you haven't solved the mystery yet and you plan to, back away, turn away right now. This is not... You're going to be diving into spoiler central, pretty much. So I would recommend waiting. Unless, if you don't want to think about it at all and just want to see how this is reasoned out, you're welcome to watch this video. The hints are divided into sections, going over the whole reasoning process step by step. I'm going to be releasing this video a day or two before the stream with the answer happens. That'll be on Wednesday the 31st of August at 10 PM GMT plus 2. If you already have the mystery figured out, or if you think you do, join us for the stream or wait for the VOD and then return to this video to check how your reasoning compares to that of Battler and Beato. And again, if you're stuck, this is the video to watch. Just, try to pause it before they keep going with the reasoning, or you'll get spoilered on the reasoning, which is no fun, right? Well, it's up to you. Alright. Now the hints are gotten by trying to identify the culprit and being wrong. So I'm just going to put in the wrong answer a bunch of times and then blur that out so that doesn't, cause any spoilers to happen. These purple statement things are quite a problem. We know that their statement's important enough to be on par with red truth, but they also contain the culprit's lies.
Even the dumbest idiot wouldn't try swallowing a bread roll whole if there might be a needle inside.
True. If we accept the purple blindly, there's no chance the truth will come to light. A roll with a needle in it. I like that analogy. This precious, vital information might all be wasted thanks to one tiny lie. Just which ones of this vast collection of purple have lies in them? Just thinking about it makes my head hurt. Then why don't we try turning the chessboard over? Huh? What do you mean? It's simple. Forget which ones are lies. Let's concentrate on finding out which ones must be true. Are there any purple statements that we know must be true? And that's what we're looking for. We'll look for people who couldn't possibly be the culprit. If we can do that, then all of their purple statements are the same as red truth. I see. Instead of searching for the culprit, we'll start by searching for those who couldn't be the culprit. Quite a fundamental strategy. That's it. There's got to be someone, so let's look through it carefully.
Well, that's a start, I guess.
Let's see what they can do from here. Yes, I've got it. Battler, it's the narration. We've been told that there are no lies in the narrative text outside the dialogue. Ah, I just realized that too. Berncastle announced with the red truth that there are no lies in the narration.
Oh, it looks like they figured it out.
They wouldn't get anywhere if they didn't. Are there any deaths confirmed by the narration? That would mean we can say for sure that the person in question is dead. And that automatically means they aren't the culprit. And on top of that, it means we can trust their purple. let's look for deaths that are mentioned in the narration. Ones that aren't vague about whether the person is alive or dead, like X was lying on the ground. Yes, let's read through it once more from the start. Paneler, look. The narration clearly says that Nanjo was killed on the 7th Twilight. I found one too. On the 8th Twilight, the narration clearly mentions Jessica's gruesome corpse. So, in other words, Dr. Nanjo and Jessica. Those two are definitely dead. And that means we've proven that Nanjo and Jessica aren't culprits. And that means all of their purple statements are the same as red true. Yes, that's right. The pair gave each other a high five. Finally, they had found their first big clue. A safe slice on the roll with a needle in it. They had discovered some purple statements they could trust. Let's try writing out Nanjo's and Jessica's purple statements. These are the same as red true. We're finally getting somewhere. If we're sure that Dr. Nanjo isn't the culprit, then his purple statement for the first Twilight, doctor or not, no one examining a body will reach the wrong conclusion, becomes very important. In other words, no one will make any mistakes when confirming deaths. So, anytime Dr. Nanjo or Jessica confirms a death, we can be absolutely sure that it's true. So, anyone whose death was confirmed by Nanjo or Jessica cannot be the culprit.
Uh-oh. Looks like they're moving along.
It's strange. I find it annoying that they're moving along. But if they did get stuck, that would just be boring. Okay, let's check their examinations and find some more characters who can't be the culprit. Yes! Battler, I finished checking Nanjo's and Jessica's purple statements. People whose deaths were confirmed by those two are definitely dead. And that means they can't be the culprit. Which in turn increases the number of purple statements we can trust. Let's start with Dr. Nanjo. He confirmed the deaths of the victims of the second Twilight, Uncle Kraus and Aunt Natsuhi. Then, on the 4th Twilight, he also confirmed Shannon's death. On the 5th and 6th Twilights, he even confirmed Goda-san and Kumasawa-san's deaths. The number of innocent people has skyrocketed. In addition to Nanjo and Jessica, we now know that Kraus, Natsuhi, Shannon, Goda, and Kumasawa cannot be the culprit. And that's not all. On the 4th Twilight, Burncastle announced Kanon-kun's death with a red true. The culprit can't die, so Kanon-kun isn't the culprit either. Nanjo, Jessica, Kraus, Natsuhi, Shannon, Kanon, Goda, and Kumasawa. All 8 of them are not the culprit.
Ooh. All of a sudden, they now have 8 suspects less.
It's only natural that they'd make it this far. This is where it really begins. Now, the number of purple statements we can trust has grown tremendously. We're really getting into the thick of it. Yeah. Let's check through the purple statements of the characters we've just proven innocent. Kraus, Natsuhi, Shannon, Kanon, Goda, Kumasawa. I've looked through the purple statements for all the people we just proved innocent. Yeah. And as a result, we've proven that Genji-san isn't the culprit. For the first Twilight, Kanon announces in a purple statement that he confirmed that Genji's dead. And that clears Genji of suspicion as well. So now, a total of 9 people have been proven innocent. Things are going pretty well. Ah, right. It looks like Shannon's and Kumasawa's purple statements confirm that the 6 people of the first Twilight all died. We shouldn't accept that so easily. Why not? We can trust Shannon and Kumasawa's statements, can we not?
Yeah, right? If you're sure they aren't culprits, why can't you trust their purple statements?
Kumasawa-san, for example, only said they were lying there covered in blood. So, it's not clear whether they were alive or dead. We can't call this a perfect examination of the 6 dining hall victims. Shannon speaks of those 6 in a different way. She says the death of each parent was confirmed by their own child. That means George, Aniki, Maria, and I each examined our own parents in the dining hall. However, we haven't proven yet that any of those 3 are innocent.
Oh, I get it. Shannon's words prove that the children confirmed each of the 6 deaths in the dining hall, but they don't prove that the examinations those kids performed were legitimate.
And that's it. Since we can't deny the possibility that the kids are lying, we still can't remove any of the 6 in the dining hall from suspicion. How troublesome. All 3 of those are survivors who live until the end. Since they are alive, that makes it impossible to prove that they aren't culprits. Fowler, George, Maria. These survivors are not only likely to be culprits, they are also probably the hardest people to prove innocent. At any rate, it looks like those 9 are the only ones we can say are definitely dead and therefore definitely innocent. From here on out, it'll just be pure reasoning based off the purple statements of the 9 we can trust. Namjo, Jessica, Kraus, Natsuhi, Shannon, Kami, Goda, Kumasawa, Genji. We can only read through their purple statements once more. Things are going to get bleh. I read the previous line odd and it threw me off for the next one. The emphasis was not on the right place. Oh well. Things are going to get hard starting now. Let's steel ourselves and take a shot at it. It's finally starting to feel like a real mystery. Hey, Beato. I found something interesting. In this series of crimes, master keys can never be used. Come to think of it, the group of 9 innocent people includes all 5 servants, doesn't it? Only the servants can use master keys. They can't hand them over to someone else. And since people who aren't culprits themselves can't assist culprits, the master keys cannot be used for crimes. Since it's been guaranteed that all 5 servants are innocent, we know that the master keys have nothing to do with the crimes. Yes, that's right. And that makes this even more troublesome, correct? All of these locked room murders, every one of them must be constructed without any master keys. No. Turn the chessboard over. This just means that none of the tricks need master keys to construct. I see. First Twilight, the locked room of the dining hall. Second Twilight, Natsuhi's locked room. Starting with the 5th Twilight, the locked room of the guest house. It seems you must look closely through those again. Let's read through it once more carefully. All of the servants are innocent. Master keys can't be used. Let's think through it again with that in mind. I think I have a theory about the dining hall locked room of the first Twilight. Let's hear it. The corpse examinations of the victims in the first Twilight still aren't certain. In other words, what if one of them was really the culprit? They killed the other 5, locked the dining hall from the inside, and then played dead. True, they could create a locked room without using master keys that way. That leaves us with a problem, though. What problem? Remember? When we were talking about the second Twilight, Berncastle said this with the red truth. The culprit of the first Twilight has definitely killed 6 people.
Yes, now that you mention it.
Because of that red truth, it seems all 6 people in the dining hall were dead after all. So, how did someone lock the dining hall from the outside? Without using a key. Hey, Battler. Does that red truth really confirm the deaths of all 6 people in the dining hall? Well, it does, doesn't it? In that case, the 6 in the dining hall are all innocent, and, excluding Genji, whose innocence has already been confirmed, that gives us 5 more people we can remove from the list of suspects, does it not? In other words, 9 plus 5 equals 14 people have been proven innocent. And there are only 3 left. Either Battler, George, or Maria must be the culprit. Wait a second. That doesn't seem right for some reason. That red truth did say that the culprit killed 6 people. However, she didn't say that red during the first Twilight. I believe she said it back when we were talking about the second Twilight, yes? I'd like to read through that bit again. Let's search. It feels like that was a strange time for her to say it.
Not bad. Can't underestimate these 2. Even their instincts are sharp.
I've been thinking about the second Twilight's locked room, but no matter how many times I try, I keep ending up with the same theory. You mean someone killing the pair of them, then locking the door from the inside and hiding? Since the master keys can't be used, the door must have been locked from the inside. So, it only makes sense if the culprit was hiding somewhere in Natsuhi's room. Right. That is weird. It says this in the narration. No matter how much time passed, Krause and Natsuhi were the only ones who didn't return. And then it continues. Everyone headed to Krause's and Natsuhi's rooms together. If Krause and Natsuhi were the only ones who didn't return, that implies that everyone else did return to the parlor. That's right. If the culprit locked themselves in Natsuhi's room after committing the crime, they shouldn't have been able to return. And yet, everyone except the victims did return. That would make this crime impossible for all the survivors. So, maybe we really should follow your theory of someone hiding in the someone in the dining hall, surviving and committing crimes later. Come to think of it, when I mentioned that theory, I was hit with the red truth. My theory was that someone in the dining hall was alive and killed Krause and Natsuhi. That theory was countered by this red truth. The culprit of the first Twilight has definitely killed 6 people. Well, that's hardly surprising. After all, the culprit went on to kill Krause and Natsuhi, so they've killed a total of not just 6 but 8 people. Huh? Hold on. They went on to kill Krause and Natsuhi. So, the culprit has definitely killed 6. I've got it. We've been fooled. I know what she meant by saying the culprit killed 6 people. What do you mean you know what she meant? Explain yourself. The culprit of the first Twilight has definitely killed 6 people. If she had said that at the time of the first Twilight, I might have accepted it as it seemed. However, if we remember that she said it after the second Twilight, a new possibility shows itself. You don't mean that the murders of the second Twilight are included in the 6 people who were definitely killed? And that's it. The culprit really was hiding among the 6 in the dining hall. Later on, they snuck out of the dining hall, killed the 2 people in Aunt Natsuhi's room, locked the door from the inside, and hid somewhere in the room. The culprit could only have killed 5 people at most in the dining hall. However, if we add on the victims of the second Twilight, they would definitely have killed at least 6 times. I see. Now it all adds up. You can construct the locked rooms of both the first and second Twilight without using master keys. Well, you'd think so, but that reminds me of something else. Natsuhi's room was sealed immediately afterwards. Yes, come to think of it. Lady Berncastle used the Red Truth to say this. The group sealed the room at the same time they left. No culprit joined the group as they left. And she also said this. All of the seals will never be broken. In other words, the culprit is trapped in a locked room again. That theory might explain the first and second Twilights. However, the culprit would be sealed inside on Natsuhi's room, unable to leave. And that means they wouldn't be able to carry out the fourth Twilight and onwards. I thought it was such a nice theory, but I guess it's wrong. I don't think we were wrong about this theory, but maybe it just needs some more tweaking. No, it does work. There's no problem if the culprit gets sealed up. Not as long as there's a second culprit. A multiple culprit theory. Yes, that does seem to be the only way. That way, even if one culprit is sealed up, the other can continue murdering. If you think about it, our theory has needed an accomplice from the very beginning. Excluding Genji-san, who we already know to be innocent, the other 5 of the first Twilight's 6 victims, Aunt Ava, Uncle Hideyoshi, Mild Bastard, Kiria-san, and Aunt Rosa, all had their deaths confirmed by people who also haven't been confirmed innocent. Unless those people were accomplices, fellow culprits, no one would have been able to play dead. You're right. After all, the rules say that only culprits can cooperate with other culprits. Culprits are capable of lying even before they commit murder. So, we have ourselves a theory. The culprit carried out the first Twilight murders. The culprit who carried out the first Twilight murders also carried out the second Twilight, then locked themselves up in Natsuhi's room. Then, the other culprit, who lied about the first culprit's death, carried on with the murders starting at the fourth Twilight. Yes, it all matches up that way. So, which of them was it? Unfortunately, so far, any one of them could be a culprit. However, we can say for sure that the crime wasn't committed by a single person. And we know that the culprit locked up in Natsuhi's room was one of those 5 victims in the dining hall. And we also know that the person who continued with the crimes was one of those who inspected the 5 suspicious corpses on the first Twilight. One of those who inspected the 5 suspicious corpses in the dining hall? That would be Battler, George, and Maria. We know that one of those 3 committed the murders later on. Excellent. Let's focus on those 3 and find the truth about those later crimes. The next crime is the fourth Twilight. Shannon-chan was the one killed. No one has an alibi with one exception. George. Jessica, who has been confirmed innocent, used the purple text to say that it was impossible for George to kill Shannon. So, doesn't that mean either Battler or Maria must have killed her? I'd like to think that, but it's too soon to be sure. Battler, Maria, and every other person except George lacks an alibi. I've managed to prove the crime wasn't committed by a single person, but I didn't prove that there are exactly 2 culprits. At this point in time, it's still too soon to be sure. I see. In addition to the culprit of the first and second Twilights, and the culprit who lied about the first culprit's death, there might be yet another completely separate culprit as well. Yes, it was a mistake to overlook that. The murder of Shannon-chan was possible for anyone, with only one single exception. Also, that fact alone isn't enough to prove that George Aniki is innocent overall. I thought this would be an easy one since there's no locked room. But on the contrary, we have no suspicious circumstances and no information to lead us to the culprit. The pace of the crime starts picking up here. Instead of getting stuck on this one part, we should take a look at the fifth Twilight too. It seems we have a problem with the fifth and sixth Twilights. We can trust Jessica's purple statements, and she said this. The four cousins and Nanjo couldn't have killed Goda and Kumasawa. The four cousins and Dr. Nanjo. In other words, all of the survivors at this point in time. Thinking about it on normal lines, that would make this an impossible crime. However, that's where we can turn the chessboard over, correct? You got it. This actually gives us a simple answer. This crime proves that there's a culprit who isn't Dr. Nanjo or one of the cousins. Other than these survivors, everyone is supposed to be dead. And yet, it was impossible for the survivors to commit the crime. It's absolute proof that one of the culprits faked their death. And since there exists a culprit who faked his or her death, that's absolute proof that there are multiple culprits. Only a culprit can fake an examination and lie. The fifth and sixth Twilights may seem to be a perfect impossible crime, but this one incident alone tells us so much. Impossible crimes are a double-edged sword. They have the power to break your opponents, but they also make it possible for theories to break deep into your lines of defense. Long ago, you would surely have surrendered. How far you've come. It's all because you've trained me so well. The pair grinned at each other. They had been to the brink of death and back in their many intellectual games before now. They wouldn't be discouraged by a riddle like this. Now, let's move on to the crimes of the seventh and eighth Twilights. I think we're getting pretty close to the core of things. Yeah, let's keep our wits about us. The situation's exactly the same on the seventh Twilight. Jessica's purple statement, which we can trust, shows that the four cousins, which means all of the survivors, couldn't have committed the crime. And yet, there's something I don't quite get. The culprit of the first and second Twilights was one of those 5 victims from the first Twilight. That person was sealed in Natsuhi's room, but we know their child was a culprit too, who lied when examining the death of their parent. However, the only kids who can be a culprit are Battler, George, and Maria. That's right. And we've proven that they couldn't have committed murder for the 5th, 6th, and 7th Twilights. In other words, this shows us that yet another culprit exists. Interesting. It also happens to be a theory that makes sense. Plus, it would mean that the third culprit was also one of those who played dead. It might even be possible to have 4 or 5 culprits this way. I'm not sure about that. At any rate, Goda, Kumasawa, and Nanjo couldn't have been killed if there were only 2 culprits. There can be no doubt of that. This is getting complicated. Was it a group of 3 culprits? Or was it a pair working together and someone else on their own? Ah, right. We can't forget the possibility that there are more than 3 culprits. Of the 17 people who appear in the story, 9 have been confirmed innocent. 8 are left, and let's put Valor, George, and Maria to the side since they survived. That leaves 5 people who are supposedly dead, but have not been proven innocent. Eva, Hideyoshi, Rudolph, Kiryu, and Rosa. All were victims of the first Twilight. Now, the question is which of those 5 victims in the dining hall was faking death. we're getting close. I'm starting to like this. As for the 8th Twilight in the end, the layout's exactly the same. Indeed. The narration says that George, Battler, and Maria could not have killed Jessica. The 3 survivors couldn't have done it. The purple statements here sound like they have a lot of hints for us. George's and Maria's purple statements are particularly interesting. If only we could trust them, they would be quite a powerful clue. If George Aniki is innocent, then his purple statement about Maria being unable to kill anyone would be true, and Maria would be confirmed innocent. In the same way, if Maria is innocent, then her statement about George being unable to kill an adult would be true, and that would consequently prove George Aniki innocent as well. It would, but we cannot confirm that either of them is innocent. If either George Aniki or Maria could prove that the other was innocent, they would be innocent too. It's like a chicken and egg dilemma. It almost feels like a useful hint, but not quite. Pretty annoying. Proving innocence for either of them probably won't be easy. At least we've gotten the suspects down to a small number. From here on out, there's probably nothing left to do except check each one to see if they could have been a culprit. You're right. Feels like we're getting to the final stretch.
So, looks like they've almost made it, doesn't it?
I feel like a plucked fish. First, let's test the theory that Maria could have been a culprit. If she's guilty, then Rosa could have been playing dead. She could have carried out the crimes on the 1st and 2nd Twilights. Then, she gets locked in Aunt Natsuki's room, and Maria takes over for the following murders. It was impossible for Maria to commit any of the murders in the guest house, so the most Maria could do was kill Shannon. Which means a 3rd culprit would be needed for the guest house murders. The 3rd one would have to be Ava, Hideyoshi, Rudolph, or Kitty. And that would mean we need a 4th culprit too, right? You're right. In order for one of those 4 adults to play dead, the child who checked them would have to be a culprit too. In other words, if Maria is a culprit, we'll need to have at least 4 culprits total. If there are 4 culprits, then each one of them must kill at least one person. The definition of culprit is a murderer. In which case, things don't quite seem to add up. The 4 culprits would then be 2 adults and 2 children. 1 adult is in charge of the murders on the 1st and 2nd Twilights. The other adult handles the murders from the guest house onwards. Yes, and this is where we get a contradiction. A culprit is defined as one who murders. That means anyone who's a culprit must commit murder at least once. Simply put, there are very few people that a child culprit could murder. The children could not have killed on the 1st and 2nd Twilights. They also can't commit murder after the 1st death in the guest house takes place. The only one they could possibly commit is Shannon's murder on the 4th Twilight. A child culprit can only kill Shannon. A 2nd child culprit couldn't kill anyone, so they couldn't be a culprit at all. It means there can only be 1 child culprit. As soon as we pick Maria as a culprit, we need another adult culprit besides Rosa. However, it's impossible for there to be a 2nd child culprit to lie about their parents' death. In other words, it's impossible for Maria to be a culprit. Next, let's try a theory with George as a culprit. Only 1 child culprit can exist. So, if George Aniki is a culprit, that means Aunt Ava and Uncle Hideyoshi are the only adults who could have been playing dead.
So, a 3-person group with 2 adults and 1 kid. I see. That sounds like it'd explain all the crimes so far, doesn't it?
But hold it. That's actually impossible too. Indeed. It's clearly shown that George cannot be a culprit.
Pretty sharp. The only one the kids can kill is Shannon on the fourth Twilight.
A trustworthy purple statement has already proven that George couldn't have been the culprit in Shannon's murder. And that's it. Just one tiny alibi that only works for Shannon-chan's murder. That's what proves George Aniki innocent for all of the crimes. So, we need not suspect George. Which means all of his purple statements can be relied upon. Once we're sure that George is innocent, that automatically makes Maria innocent too. Yeah. It confirms George Aniki's purple statement saying Maria couldn't kill anyone. Since she couldn't kill anyone, she can't be a culprit. So, Maria is also confirmed innocent. Since George and Maria are innocent, that also proves that their examinations of their parents' deaths were also trustworthy. That's right. No one will reach a wrong conclusion when examining a body, and people who aren't culprits can't lie. So, the deaths of their parents have been confirmed, and those parents are also innocent. We've gotten rid of almost everyone. The answer is already clear, is it not? First off, there are multiple culprits. That's confirmed. These crimes would be impossible for a single person. To start, one of the adult culprits carried out the first Twilight, then played dead. Since we know that all the servants with master keys are innocent, there's no way for the culprit to lock the door to the dining hall from the outside. So, we know that the one who locked it did so from inside the room and must have been playing dead. And, in order for them to play dead, they needed another culprit to lie when examining their death. Since Genji-san is innocent, there are only 5 suspicious victims, each examined by their respective children. So, that gives us our second culprit, the child of the first culprit. And the child culprit can't carry out the crimes when they start occurring in the guest house. Plus, the adult culprit is sealed up in Natsuhi's room. So, a second adult culprit is needed. 2 adults, 1 kid. That's what our culprit group looks like. It should be obvious by now. The name of the child culprit in this culprit group is clear. Pretty much. All of the kids have been proven innocent, with one exception. And the only corpse inspections that a child culprit could lie about were the inspections of that child's own parents. So, the culprit group was a family of 2 adults and 1 child. Murder with the family. How sweet. So, who are the 3 culprits? There's hardly any point in stretching this out further, is there? Alright, that's it for the hints. And, well, a little more than hints because they kind of blatantly spell it out at the end. There's another part, it's like 5 sentences, and I left it out on purpose because at that point they just say, hey, here's the culprit. And the whole point of this was to get, to give people a chance to think about it, to think it over without depriving them of the hints, basically. But, maybe we'll go over that in a stream at some point. And maybe not, and you'll just have to get the game. Anyway, I hope the video was useful for your reasoning, and that you enjoyed the wholesome interaction of Battler and Beato reasoning out a mystery together, which I personally love to see. It's great. It's a lot of fun. Now again, the stream for this will be on Wednesday, 31st of August, 10 p.m. GMT plus 2. So it's like Amsterdam time zone, right? Just to Google what time is it in Amsterdam. That's the time. 10 p.m. there. And then, you know, you can be there and watch it all unfold. If not, you know, the VOD's gonna be up ASAP after the stream, and then you can watch that instead. My music is still loud, isn't it? Yeah, that should be a little better. Okay. I don't know how loud it is. I can never tell with these things. But you know, I try. Alright, well, I'll wrap this up quickly so I can start editing and getting it ready to throw on the internet. As always, thank you for watching. I hope you're enjoying the series, and I hope that the hints didn't dash your theories too hard, like too harshly. Which is what happened to me the first time I played this, I believe. I was completely on the wrong track because I missed some stuff. And stubborn as I am, I decided to go in without hints initially, and I was super wrong. It was embarrassing. Anyway. It happens. It's fine. All that matters is that you have fun. Alright. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.